Alright, welcome back. We're doing Chapter 1, Section 3, which is modeling with linear functions. Here are three important formulas you're going to want to know. Make sure you write them down, and you can find them on page 22. This is the first of three videos for this section. I'm going to do these equations in one video. Then during class, we're actually going to have to do a lot of stuff like example 2 on page 23. So check it out. Make sure you read example 2 on page 23. There'll be another video about scatter plots, and then I'll do a third video on how to use the graphing calculator for the first thing that we're really going to do in the graphing calculator. But before we get to that, page 22, number 1 is where we're going to start. So we have three equations that we're going to use. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to use green. We have three equations that we're going to use, and we have to choose which equation's best for whatever problem we're given, and then we need to get an equation and answer the rest of the word problem. So number 1 at the bottom of page 22 gives us a graph with these 2 points. We have 0, 18 and 10, 15. And it asks us to write an equation of the line, so I'm going to choose, and interpret the slope, Y-intercept, and how many, what's the balance after 36 payments. All right, well, let's start with at least the equation, because I need to find the slope and I need to find the y-intercept. So I look at these, I actually notice this is a y-intercept, and look at the graph. It's touching the y-axis, it's a y-intercept. So I can skip straight to this equation. I want to use my slope-intercept, but the other thing I need to use is the slope. If you want, and I really do recommend this, go ahead and look at the graph. You'll see that it goes down 3 to the right 10. So my slope is -3 over 10. Remember, it's rise over run, so it's going down, so negative, down 3 to the right 10, so positive 10. I will use this formula just in case you need the practice. So my slope is going to be my second y minus my first y over my second x minus my first x, and I'm going to simplify. 15 minus 18 is -3, 10 minus 0 is 10. The math matches the picture where I got that slope from. We're going to do more of that later. So I have my slope, I have my y-intercept. I can go ahead and plug it into this equation. Y stays y, m is -3/10, x stays x, and my y-intercept is 18. Step 1 is done. Write an equation for that graph. Now, interpret the slope. Well, my slope is -3 over 10. My x-axis is payments. My y-axis is my balance in thousands of dollars. So I can say something like my balance goes down $3,000 every 10 payments. You can simplify that further if you want to. If we're going down $3,000 every 10 payments, maybe we're going down $300 every payment. You're going to want to write these in words. It says to interpret the slope. Y-intercept, I'm starting off with 18. What does that mean? According to the y-axis, I have a balance of $18,000 to start with. So, equation, interpreting the slope, we're going to talk more about in class. Interpreting the y-intercept, also more in class. Finally, the remaining balance after 36 payments. Again, take a look at your axes. Is payments your x or your y? It's your x. So I'm going to plug in 36 for x right here. You're probably going to want to use a calculator. When you do, you're going to get 7.2, but you're not done, because that doesn't mean anything. It's 7.2 what? Well, it's $7.2 thousand, which you're going to write out as actually that. You're going to have, after 36 payments, your remaining balance is going to be $7,200, okay? I know I went really fast, but remember, you're at home, you can pause, you can rewind, you can play it again. All right. On to page 23, number 2. I'm doing a very, very tiny part of that. We as a class need to read example 2. we need to do example 2, and then number 2 at the bottom of the page is going to make more sense. However, I want to use it as a way to show off point-slope form. Alright, so this is page 23, number 2. We'll talk about word problems. However, we know that this company, Maple Ridge, it charges a rental fee of $10 per student. Usually the per means it's going to be the slope. The total cost is going to be $1,900 for 140 students. So I know my x is 140, and I know that my y is 1,900. So I need to make an equation. I'm going to compare it to 2 other things from example 2. I know a slope, I know a point, I'm going to use point-slope form. So my y is going to stay y. I'm going to take away 1,900 because it's minus the y from here. It's equal to the slope times x, and then minus the x from the point. I just have to do some math because I do want to get into slope-intercept form. So I have y minus 1,900 equals 10x minus 1,400. Add 1,900 to both sides. And combine like terms. So now I have an equation that I'm ready to graph. I'm ready to compare it from the 2 other equations that we're going to figure out from example 2 on page 23. But I wanted to show you how to use point-slope form. Just like the name says, you have a slope, you have a point, and you're eventually going to get it to slope-intercept form by plugging in for y1, x1, and m, not for y, not for x, doing math, distributing, adding, subtracting, whatever you need to do to get to y equals, okay? That's it for video 1. There are going to be 2 more, one about scatter plots, one about the calculator.